The whispers started softly. At first, mere suggestions on the wind that I tried to ignore or rationalize away. Our love was supposed to be impervious, a fortress built on shared dreams, laughter, and an unspoken promise of forever. We had carved out a world for ourselves where vulnerability felt like strength, and every sunrise was a new opportunity to deepen our bond. I remember our early days with a nostalgic ache, a time when his touch was a language I understood perfectly, and his eyes held only me. We talked about everything, our futures entwined like the roots of ancient trees. Marriage, children, a home filled with warmth, and the gentle chaos of a family we would create together. These were not just fantasies, they were blueprints etched into my heart. Then the cracks began to appear, subtle at first, like hairline fractures in a beautiful vase. He started staying out later sometimes with vague explanations about work or friends. His phone became a constant companion, clutched tightly or face down on surfaces, a silent guard protecting unseen secrets. My gut instinct, a primal warning system, screamed, but my mind argued with it, defending him, rationalizing away every inconsistency. He was stressed, I told myself. He was busy. Our relationship was just entering a new phase. All couples go through these periods of adjustment. I reasoned, trying to quiet the rising tide of unease within me. I wanted so desperately to believe him, to believe in us, that I blinded myself to the glaring red flags waving frantically in my peripheral vision. Denial became my closest friend, a comforting lie that allowed me to maintain the illusion of our perfect world. The truth, though, has a way of asserting itself with brutal force. It was a cold Tuesday night when I found it. A forgotten message on an unlocked tablet, a name I did not recognize, a string of words that punched the air from my lungs. My vision blurred. My hands trembled as I reread the intimate exchange, a dozen times, each word a fresh stab wound. The casualness of their affection, the shared jokes, the plans for a future that was supposed to be mine. It was not just a single mistake, a moment of weakness. It was an ongoing narrative, a parallel life he had been living. The betrayal was not a sudden act, but a slow, deliberate unraveling of everything I held sacred. The world tilted on its axis, and the vibrant colors of my life drained away, leaving behind a monochrome landscape of shock and agonizing pain. My heart did not just break. It shattered into a million irreparable pieces, each shard a memory now tainted by deceit. The confrontation was a blur of raised voices, hot tears, and hollow apologies. He stood before me, a stranger, his eyes filled with a mixture of shame and a strange defensiveness. I asked him why, a desperate plea to understand how someone could so casually obliterate another person's trust. His answers were a jumble of excuses, of feeling lost, of temporary confusion, of not knowing what he wanted. None of it made sense. None of it could explain away the months of lies, the calculated deception. Each word he uttered felt like another blow, further cementing the reality that the man I loved was not the man I thought he was. The pain was physical, a suffocating weight on my chest, making it impossible to breathe deeply. I remember feeling a cold numbness spread through my limbs, a detachment from my own body, as if this nightmare was happening to someone else. The tears flowed freely, but they offered no relief, only emphasized the vast emptiness that had suddenly opened up inside me. The days that followed were a torturous cycle of grief and anger. We argued constantly, revisiting every detail, every lie, every broken promise. His confessions trickled out slowly, each new revelation a fresh wound reopened. I felt like a detective, piecing together the fragments of a shattered life, trying to understand the intricate web of deceit he had woven. The past happy memories, once cherished, now felt poisoned, twisted into something grotesque. Was our entire relationship a lie? I questioned myself endlessly. Were all the declarations of love, all the intimate moments, just a performance? The foundation of our shared history had crumbled beneath me, leaving me suspended in an abyss of doubt and confusion. Every fiber of my being screamed in protest against this cruel reality. My mind replayed every interaction, every smile, every stolen glance, searching for clues I had missed, for signs that something was amiss. The self-doubt gnawed at me, a corrosive force, asking what I had done wrong to deserve such profound betrayal. Eventually, the arguments exhausted us, leaving behind only a desolate silence. There was no path forward, no reconciliation possible, when the very bedrock of trust had been annihilated. The love I had once felt so purely had curdled into resentment and profound sadness. Making the decision to end it was agonizing, a painful amputation of a part of myself. It was like burying a dream, a future I had so meticulously planned. The final conversation was quiet, devoid of the earlier fire, only weary resignation. He packed his things, leaving behind an empty space in our home and an even larger void in my heart. Watching him walk out the door felt like the final scene of a tragedy, a silent scream trapped within my throat. The echoes of our life together lingered in every room, every object, a cruel reminder of what was lost. The silence that followed his departure was deafening, a stark contrast to the lively home we had once shared. The period immediately after was a dark abyss. I retreated from the world, unable to face the pity in friends' eyes or the well-meaning questions. Sleep offered no escape, as nightmares haunted my nights, and mornings brought a fresh wave of despair. I felt utterly worthless, discarded like an unwanted object. My self-esteem lay shattered at my feet, a testament to the destructive power of betrayal. I replayed every conversation, every gesture, every moment of our relationship, searching for clues, searching for the point where I had failed, searching for the reason he had sought solace elsewhere. The blame I placed on myself was immense, illogical, but persistent. If I had been prettier, smarter, more attentive, better in any way, perhaps he would not have strayed. It was a vicious cycle of self-condemnation, a constant whisper telling me I was not enough. Food lost its taste, laughter seemed alien, and the simple act of existing felt like an insurmountable burden. Slowly, agonizingly, I began the arduous journey of rebuilding. Therapy became a lifeline, a safe space to unpack the trauma and navigate the labyrinth of my emotions. Friends gently pulled me back into the light, reminding me of my worth beyond the confines of that failed relationship. Each small step felt monumental, a victory against the darkness that threatened to consume me. I learned to distinguish between what was my responsibility and what was his betrayal. It was a long process of peeling back layers of hurt and anger to find the resilient core within me. I started to rediscover myself, the woman I was before the relationship, before the heartbreak. It was a fragile reconstruction brick by painstaking brick. I read books on healing, journaled my feelings, and forced myself to engage with hobbies I once loved. The process was not linear. There were days when the grief would crash over me like a tidal wave, threatening to drag me back into the depths. Trust became a foreign concept, a broken glass I was afraid to touch. The idea of opening my heart to another person again felt terrifying, an invitation for further pain. Every new interaction was viewed through a lens of suspicion, every kind gesture examined for hidden motives. I knew this was unfair to potential partners, but the scars of betrayal ran deep. It was a conscious effort to dismantle the walls I had built around my heart, brick by painful brick. I understood that carrying that bitterness and distrust would only hurt me in the long run, trapping me in a prison of my own making. Learning to trust myself again was perhaps even harder. Trusting my judgment, my instincts, my ability to choose wisely. The betrayal had made me question my entire perception of reality. It was a slow process of reclaiming my intuition and believing in my own discernment. Healing is not about forgetting or erasing the past. It is about integrating the experience into the fabric of who you are. The scar remains a reminder of the wound, but it no longer bleeds. It serves as a testament to resilience, to the human capacity to endure profound pain and emerge stronger. The shape it took in my life was profound. It changed my perspective on love, commitment, and vulnerability. I learned that true strength lies not in never being hurt, but in allowing yourself to be vulnerable again, knowing the risks. Forgiveness became a complex concept, not necessarily for him but for myself. For forgiving myself for loving so deeply, for trusting so completely, for allowing myself to be broken. It was about releasing the bitterness that had taken root in my soul, allowing myself to move forward unburdened by the weight of resentment. Today I stand on different ground. The pain is no longer acute, but a distant echo. I have learned to love again, to trust cautiously, but wholeheartedly. The lessons from that heartbreak are etched into my being. They serve as a guide, not a cage. I understand now that some betrayals are not about your worth, but about the other person's capacity for love and honesty. It was never a reflection of my inadequacies, but a manifestation of his choices. This realization was profoundly liberating. My capacity for empathy grew. My understanding of human frailty deepened. I learned that true love is built on honesty, respect, and an unwavering commitment to transparency. It is not about grand gestures, but about the small daily choices to honor your partner. The journey was long and arduous, filled with tears and setbacks, but I emerged from the ashes a stronger, more compassionate, and profoundly resilient woman. The future still holds uncertainties, but I face them now with an inner peace and a quiet strength forged in the fires of heartbreak. I am whole again, not because I found someone new, but because I painstakingly put myself back together piece by beautiful piece,